section B of the coding of the layouts for HTML5. Okay, so we've got the basic HTML layout already set up, and we've got the style sheet, and they're linked together. Now, in HTML5, they have something called, your W3 Schools is a good source on this. They have wonderful information. You can really work yourself through there. But they talk about semantics. Now, in HTML5, with regards to semantics, it means that an element, that the tag that you're using, will also actually deal with what is inside it. So, for example, article will have an article, summary will have a summary of the page, and so forth. And different sections could have different sections, and etc., etc., etc. So your actual tags also deal with information about what is actually in the content, and that can also help search engines and things like that. So the first thing you're going to work with, and I do suggest you have W3 Schools open for reference, because they'll go into more details of a whole bunch of different things that are available. So I'm going to start off by creating my header tag, and I'm going to close the header tag. So we would have our header information there. Now when you want to refer to that header tag inside your style sheet, you would literally go header, open curly brackets, and then whatever you put inside here will be styles of that header. So for interest's sake, or just for argument's sake in this example, I'm going to create this header to have a width of 100%. So a width of 100%, and I'm going to have a background color so we can actually see where it is. Also, when you use NetBeans, you'll see at the bottom here there's a whole bunch of information about the actual tags that you use, so it's actually very handy as well, and the different properties that are involved in there. So I'm just going to make this gray, good with gray. Okay, and there are different things, like you can set up different padding and so forth. The padding of elements and all the rest, if you go to the CSS inside your inside the W3 Schools, it will go through what the difference between padding is and what the difference between margins, and then the next thing, there's a whole bunch of different, they talk about the box model here. We'll show you more details about how you can make your different cells look different. So in the case of our header, we've made it 100% width and gray. So let's put some content into our header. So I'm going to put a heading 1 of HTML layout. And before I get into this, I'm wanting to work with a border box overall layout. So I want everything to sort of be a border box. So what I can do is I can go star curly brackets, and this means that every tag is going to have this applied to it. So if you do want something that's applied to every sort of major tag, with tags that's within, you can say star, and this will then apply for everything. So I'm going to set a box sizing. Again, you can take a read through down here if you want to see exactly what it's about and what it, and potentially you'll. I'm not as adept, and I don't do a lot of coding in HTML. I do a lot of coding more in Java and different languages. So if you guys are wanting to find out more than what I'm showing you here, just please read through and also use the W3 Schools. So you'll see that I'm going to be using box sizing, and I'm going to say I want a border box on there, semicolon, and that will then apply to everything. So I'll go back to my layout, and I go to here, and I'm wanting to put in another tag. Before I go, let me just say that for now. Let's take a look at what we are looking at, what we've coded so far. Okay, so all I did is I navigated to the location where I had it saved. I double clicked on it and it opened it, and then you'll see there that it's got my HTML5 layout along the top. You can change the heading 1 to be centered. So if I want the heading 1 to be centered, I can even just go to here and just say I want the H1 tag to have a text dash align, and I want it to be center. Let's see if that works. Centering a line of text is actually always a bit more tricky than what one feels, and you'll see that then will have it aligned center. We're now looking further down. What we could also do is potentially make the header aligned center. So if you didn't want to do that inside here, you wanted everything inside here to be centered. Potentially that would be enough, because we might want to add other elements later. But you could change the color of the. So yeah, that would also be equivalent. All right. Moving on. Let's go and add a separate tag. Now I'm going to do inside my header, I'm going to create like a breadcrumb tag, which is going to contain different breadcrumbs that are going in there. Now, bear with me on this. You will notice in HTML it does talk about element breadcrumb not allowed. It will give you red underlines, but quite frankly, whatever. It might even be reserved. There might be a reason behind that, but it will work anyway. And I'm going to put inside there, I'm going to put a UL, which is short for unordered list, and I'm going to put the LI. I'm going to put a link 1. Let's just go home. li subtag so these are just list items. So literally I'm saying UL, which means unordered list, list item home, list item subtag, list item subtag 2. Okay, now at the moment it's going to look very ugly. So what we can do, just to show you what it will look like at the moment, bam, it looks very ugly. I don't like that at all. So what we can do is we can actually change it so that it works slightly differently. So what we're going to do is we're going to firstly say that we're working with that specific one. So we're going to have header, that's forming that we're under unordered list, which means we're now going to be working with items, unordered lists that are within the header tag. So now we're working with the unordered lists from the header tag, we're going to say list style type, and we're going to say none, meaning that there's going to be no bullets or those buttons that are there. Again, use your control spacebar, look at that. I'm going to say margin is 0, and I'm going to say padding is 0. I am then going to refer to my header li, which is my list items, and I'm going to specify items that I want there. The first thing I want to do there is I want to put the padding of the actual list items to be 8 pixels. So I'll put a little bit of padding in it. I'm going to say the margin at the bottom of it is going to be, so make a little bit of a margin, and I'm going to make that 8 pixels. I'm going to make a background color, so background color, I'm going to set the background color to be AABBCC. I have no idea what color that is, but it just made sense. Let's just write it. And then last thing I want to do, we could potentially try change the color of the actual text by going color, but I've had problems with this before, so I'm actually trying to figure out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hashtag just shows that you're referring to hexadecimal annotations for the actual colors. And one other cool thing here is if I go header li ; hover, and that means when the user puts their mouse over it, you can change what it's going to be. And I'm going to change the background color. I'm going to change the background color, fail, dash color, and I'm going to change that to be hashtag dad 1, 2, 3, 4. I have no idea what color that is, but it doesn't matter. Alright, so now if I refresh this, it looks a bit better, but I mean at the moment, when I move my mouse over it, it should change color. At the moment it's failing, it's not changing colors, so I'll need to figure out why. But it does look a bit better currently, but it uses up a full width of 100%, which I'm not liking. So I think maybe the 100% I should deal with elsewhere, but give me a second. Okay, so the next thing we're going to try to do is get them next to each other. First I've also got to try to get this hover working, but I'm going to worry about that a bit later. Earlier I was getting it working with using classes, and classes is instead of using your header li, I for example could call this instead of breadcrumb, I could go breadcrumb class is equal to b. Oh, you know why? This is not under the header, it's header breadcrumb ul. So I was under a different layout. So here what I could do is actually instead of header li, I should actually be going breadcrumb li, and same thing here, breadcrumb, because it's dealing with the breadcrumb specifically, not the actual overall list. That's not how you spell breadcrumb and breadcrumb here. And I think that might be why it's giving us a little bit of difficulties, because of the fact that it's a subordinate to breadcrumb, not to the just to the that. Let's see if that fixed it. Okay. Another thing is I put too many characters there. I put extra characters, so that might have also been the reason. So let's try again. Remember to press F5 and say, there we go. So now when I move my mouse over it, it will change colors. So literally the main mistake that I was making was potentially not just the subordinate on there. It also had to do, so lesson learned, you try, figure it out, and make sure that if you're dealing with hexadecimal character codes, this goes red, green, blue. So these would, and I put an extra character there, so it didn't understand the color because there was an extra character there. So next step. Now what I want to do is I want to make it so that the lists are next to each other, not directly over each other. And what we're going to do to that is we're going to try by setting the display to be different. So instead of displaying it over the full thing, we want to set the display to be different. So in our list item, we're just going to say display, and in our display, we're going to say inline box block. Now again, as I said to you earlier, use what's here and use W3 schools. They explain what the different things are, what the different options are, inline, list item, none, blah, 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 yakety smackety. I'm not going to go through all that, there's nowhere near enough time. But inline block. So I'm going to say inline block, and we're going to specify that, save, and we are then going to go to our HTML5, Control F5, whoa, much better. So now you see they all sit next to each other, so home, sub tag, sun tag, spelled wrong there. So you see there's different tags and different things. At the moment I haven't linked them or anything along those lines, I've just got the layout to look like that. The next step that we're doing is we're going to add various tags. Now I'm just going to show you how to put a tag next to each other, and you can set your layouts along these lines. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mess around with going to my layout tab, and I'm going to say into my actual physical HTML page, and I'm now then going to create a second section. And this section, there's a little bit of a hack, and I've been doing a bit of research on it. For now, you guys can just bear with me here. There's an issue with regards to the way the items can often relate to each other, and there's a clear fix that helps that. Now this clear fix it's just to help you correct that's what's going on there. And I'm actually going to call this just a general section tag rather than calling it that, or a div, which means is another word for a section. So we're working with a div on here. So it's a divider. This is our new section. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to sit there and we're going to say, okay, I want to put in this as a class is equal to clear fix. And this is just to help the elements so that they don't mess around with each other. I don't exactly know how it fixes it, but it does. So when you're dealing with a class and you want to specifically refer to whatever's got that class, so if you want to have multiple different elements working with the same class, like clearfix or like anything, in your style sheet you refer to it by starting with a dot, and then you say, okay, I want to work with clearfix. And then now that means anything that's got the clearfix tag on there, you would work with that. Now, again, I do not understand exactly what's going on here, but it's a simple matter of reading it through in your HTML5 with regards to the different display layouts and whatnot. And I used a lot of the example that they gave inside here with aligning data, with putting it through. There's different exercises you can work through on that regard. W3 Schools is very, very, very cool. Alright, and this clearfix will just help the elements work there together. So we specify the content, and again, if you go Control Spacebar, NetBeans doesn't even know if this okay, so that's probably quite a new technology here. A display, if you go Control Spacebar, it will give you explanations on it and what they different ones do. So going back into our layout, we're now going to set our, I'm going to create a nav area, and this is the idea of this nav area is to be able to navigate between your main pages. I'm going to put an ordered list in here, and I'm going to put in inside my ordered list, I'm going to put li. I'm also just going to put 3 links in here, li, C, Control V, Control V. Okay, so I've got 3 different links. My first link I'm going to say is going to ahref to wherever you want it to go to. 1, link 2, link 3. Alright, so we've got our 3 links there, and under our nav tag, and then I'm going to have my main body. So inside there I'm going to have my main content. I could also just call it a section, so I'm going to put a section inside here, and inside my section I'm going to have multiple articles. Well, that's not how you spell article, by the way, just in case you didn't know that. So we're going to have, let's say, 3 articles for argument's sake inside here. Not doing very well, am I? Alright, so we've got 3 articles in here. Now that we've got those 3 articles, you'll see that in the section and the nav and so forth, we want to specify how we want these to lay out. So what I'm going to do is in my layout style section, I can then refer to, okay, I want to be now communicating with my nav, and how I want my nav to be communicating, and how I want it to be organized, and then I want my section and how I want it to be coordinated, and then I want my article and how I want it to communicate. So these are just going to be each of these, and I'm going to set up the styles of those and how I want them to look. So if I go to nav, you'll see there that for my nav area, I'm wanting it to go to float. Now float just shows it where it's aligning from. So where it is going to be in relation to the page, you can choose where. I could put it on the left hand side, I could put it on the right hand side, I can say float towards the top, I can say float. So it's basically floating compared to the elements to whichever location you specify. In this case, I'm going to say I want it to float it to the left. Later on, I'll change it to the right and just show you how that changes. So we're going to float it to the left. I am being silly here. Just give me a second. Okay, now I'm thinking on the ball actually. So I'm going to float it to the left, and I'm going to be dealing with it on the navigation is float on the left. I'm actually good with that. Let's just make it float on the left. It is already a box. I can set a different height if you want. I can maybe specify a couple other things. But right now what we're going to do is then in our nav, we're going to say our unordered list. We can set different properties of our nav unordered list. And we can do the list style option type. We're going to say none, so it's got no image there. We're going to set then for our nav URL, list item, so our nav list item. We can specify that whole thing here. I'm just going to copy and paste on the top. I'm too lazy to do that again. So copy, paste. This time I'm not going to make it an inline block display. I'm just going to make it so it flows normally. I'm going to change the colors to fad. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sweet. And also then I can do the same thing with regards to the hover, just for the bit of a area on there, and we can change the background color to be hashtag ABC. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sweet. Semicolon. And then now, if we take a look at what we've got so far, let's just get a little bit of our section going. Because at the moment it might look a bit odd because we haven't been doing all this stuff. So let's go F5 on this. Whoa, okay, so you'll see the links here on the right hand side, and then we've got our links here at the top side. I don't know what this one is. Yeah, let's close one. So we've got our different links here, and we've got links here, and there's a section here. There's nothing in there at the moment. That's why our section is over here. There's nothing in there, so we can't see it. So let's go back and let us add some content that is inside there. So I'm just going to add some data into this before we continue. Just so I can, I'll pause while I add some data in here, just so we can see what it looks like currently. Okay, so as stands, I just added, this is some content as a heading to into the main part of my section, and then I just added some articles in there. So we now go to our layout. Let's take a look at what it looks like. Whoa, it's ugly. Article 1, Article 2, Article 3. But you'll see there that this stays on the left and this goes to the right of it. But it's not looking very pretty at all. So let's go and let's mess around with the actual workings of it. And the first thing we want to do is we want to distinguish it to be columns. So this is in one column, this is in the other column. And that the fact that there are box layouts, which seem weird considering we refer that there. Let's just make sure that we're getting this right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to sit there and we're going to say, okay, sorry, one thing I forgot with the clear fix is you also have to actually set there with regards to what's happening after. So I actually did it a bit wrong. On the clear fix, you may actually refer to here :: after. :: after. Again, I have no idea why that does it, but that's meant to fix it. Fix issues of floating and whatnot. There we go. That's much prettier. Okay, so that there will just determine how the items actually work from after each other. So now we've got those elements working on both sides. Alright, now moving on, we're going to set our sections, we're going to set our articles. So our section, I'm going to actually not really do much with. I'm not sure if I want to. I might just say, maybe, I don't know. Now articles, I'm going to set the display to be box, inline box, and block. I'm going to set the width to be 400 and the height of the box to be 600. Let's just say 400 by 400. I have no idea what it will look like, but whatever. Let's set a border, so we'll say border width. You can just refer to different things, dash width, and we can then also work, let's set that to be 2, and then let's also now work with the border dash height. No, sorry, border dash style. You need a width and a style, and I'm going to make that a ridge. Okay, and we can set a background color as well, but let's just leave it for now. Let's take a look at what this looks like. F5, article 1, 2, 3, but now articles aren't the width and the height that I specified. So the question would be, why would they not be? So let's try to figure that out. So the first thing I'm going to do, we did say it was an inline block. We're going to say position relative. Let's see how this works so far. You can work with different positions and what's happening there. Thing with the 400, I maybe didn't specify the fact that it's px, which just starts for pixels. Potentially I need to qualify on what it is. So let's see if that helped. Yay, that's better. And you'll see that they flow after each other. One thing you'll notice is that if I make it smaller as it go down, the articles will then become below each other. So the more width I have, it will move. So the articles can be there. So then if you display it, and that's what's got to do with the inline box, meaning that as it gets smaller, it will move to where it can fit in, so it can still be displayed. And you can specify the exact size, and that way it will display on the lines of where it needs to. So this helps with the mobile, and that's one thing handy with the inline box. The next thing I'm going to do, just because I can, this is going to be the last section of this display, and I will go over this how I'm going to add a section, a footer section, and in this footer section I'm just going to say some random text because I can. Okay. And in this random text, I'm just going to now specify what I want it to look like. So I'm going to say footer background color to be hashtag. Remember, you can get the colors from the previous example. I showed you how you can get HTML colors using GIMP of different images. I don't know if you need me to show you that again, but let's just go for now 00 FF00. That would be pure. Let's go 1, 2. Pure color. Red green. So that would be quite a green color that we've got here. Let's maybe make it AA. Make it a little less green. All right. The next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to say the width is 100%, and I want to change it so that the display, sorry, the position. Let's go with the position of it. I want the position to be fixed. So exactly fixed. If you go Control Space Bar, it explains it very nicely on here with regards to each of these what they are. So you'll notice there with the relative static blah 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 absolute fixed. Fixed means the box is calculated according to the absolute model, but in addition the box is fixed to some relevant area inside the display panel. You guys can read that in the viewport. Goes through the details of that. You guys can read that in your own time. For now, what we'll do is we'll write there. I want to put this bottom. Sorry, fixed. So we're going to say fixture, and then we're going to align it to the bottom. So we're going to display this. I'm sorry. You go bottom, and you can say 0, which means it's got related to the 0. If you say your position is the different ones, you can actually specify how far you want it from right, how far you want it from left, depending on how it's going to be laid out with each other. So here I'm saying to it, I want it to be at the bottom directly. So now if I maximize this and I go F5, you'll see there's my order at the bottom there, some random text because I can, and you'll see when I scroll down it stays there directly at the bottom. So if I make this even a bit smaller again, so there's multiple, you'll see it will stay at the bottom there the whole time. I'll roll around. So we can make the height of this a little bit higher. So height. Now height doesn't always work the exact same as your width, but I'm going to try 20%, which will be make it quite big. But anyway, whoop, that doesn't work very well. Okay, so the height then starts to mess around. I think it was also with that. So let's say 150 px, 100 px. So 100 pixels. F5. Whoa, it's quite big, but you'll see it stays there at the bottom. And that's the main thing I want to go through. So here's a way to mess around with layouts. Play around yourselves. I'm wanting a layout that you guys can design. Try to figure this out. And I'll give you a practice test on how to on what I'm expecting as far as assessments is concerned. Goodbye.